Okay, let's welcome everybody to the 144K partial, almost full, but not quite, Solar Eclipse of March 29th, 2025. And let me just keep on talking for a bit. Welcome you all until I get the thumbs up that all the entire infrastructure and platforms are working and I can be heard on all platforms just fine. So this is your loving servant, the unknown light warrior. And as we get the show on the road, go ahead and make yourself comfortable if you haven't already. And for those of you who may not know, Cobra just posted further very interesting details about the situation at hand. And you can bring it up if you want, if you have your coffee, tea, or cacao in hand and sitting down somewhere. Very fascinating stuff. Barely had a chance to get through it myself. And with our last reminder email that we sent only about 15-20 minutes ago, the main concept there, because many of you wouldn't have had a chance to take a look, even though it's obviously very short, is the whole inside out, where light also needs to come from the inside. We're within the dark, which of course is the physical plane. Of this planet on the surface. So the surface of this planet, as far as all things dark is concerned, or contrasting, yeah, that's the equivalent of shining a light in the deepest possible part of the Mariana Trench, where it's completely black, no light whatsoever. It's you get the point. So that's the equivalent, and that's a critical, fundamental piece of the puzzle required to also be activated, I guess, and upgraded. Otherwise, it just doesn't really work if the light is only coming in from the outside, so to speak. So let's effectively begin the mass meditation by being in stillness, call in your guides if you constantly work with any. And we'll get started shortly. And do begin that breathing, slow, deep inner breaths. Putting a bit of soft focus on either your guides or your soul or your higher self. And really bringing yourself into stillness. Okay, sorry about that. There's always more than one platform that I need to constantly unmute from. So call in your guides if you haven't already, if you've just arrived. And welcome to anyone who's new. Your mental and spiritual paradigm, consciousness paradigm will be stretched, if you will, past current boundaries. Which is often needed because that's where freedom always lies, past our present boundaries. Now do breathe through your nose, very important. There's a whole major science behind that. Nice and slowly and deeply. Let me see here. Okay, yep, we're unmuted on all platforms. Just needed to check. Everything's good. Alrighty, let me just unmute. Okay, good. Let me see here. Just continue breathing deeply and slowly. All right, there we go. All righty. Once again, for anyone who's just logged on, welcome to this critical 144K mass intervention, which is always a better description of it. And this time I'm having cacao instead of coffee. Worth the experiment, even though the US, especially the West Coast and Mountain Time, have got the short end of the deal as far as this major critical astrological event is concerned. All righty. All righty, let's see ourselves in the gigantic crystal ball. Look all around and see the, I suppose, dark silver, very translucent walls of the crystal ball. All right, let's call in Gaia. Of course, many of you have your own personal relationship and connection with Gaia. You can always call her in your own way. Otherwise, repeat after me. I call upon the one true authentic Goddess Gaia. Alrighty. And see Gaia in the middle, where close to the equator on the inside. Adore and admire the beautiful polar ice caps, the white polar ice caps of Gaia, clouds over the oceans. And now we start to move up through the layers of this universe. And do, as you notice, the soft, very soft flickering of light through the translucent walls of the crystal ball, really do kind of relax and, in a positive sense, lose yourself in a meditative way to this image of this softness, the flickering of light, and allow this soft flickering of light through the walls of the crystal ball to just bring you into a beautiful, relaxed alpha state, brainwave state, meditative state. And take that occasional glance at Gaia and the golden light bodies, evenly spaced around the equator on the inside, which is all your 144K comrades that are together here with you in every sense. In every sense, together with you, but physical. Again, if you came a little late, go ahead and call in your guides if you constantly work with any, and the rest of you, I suppose, glance at them occasionally in between this beautiful view of Gaia in the middle, as we're racing up the layers of this universe. To levels of light that no level of dark can compete with, to close that loop, that elliptical loop needed to really make things happen between some of the highest realms above the multiverse at the I am level, all the way down here, the metaphoric equivalent of the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. And you know, for those of you who know or came across Jim Self, you know, there's a reason why he said very passionately how much positive ETs love us and love us so intensely. It's because they're flying above the oceans and we're the equivalent of down at the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. So you can imagine how they feel about us. Remember to look all around. Okay. Take your last glance over to your far left and far right to see the next few evenly spaced 144K beloved comrades. And look at Gaia for the last time. And all of a sudden, everything goes, as always, bright white. As we reach that last thick outer boundary of this universe, and we move through it, and the bright, you can barely see Gaia in the middle, and the bright light disappears. And you see a big ball of light that is the universe that we just left. Rapidly turn into a small ball of light. And that disappears as we rise above a whole ocean of balls of light that are the universes in this neighborhood of the multiverse. And we rise above that. We rise above a whole ocean of multiverses. It's quite a journey. And all that just disappears. Goes really small and disappears. Take that last glance at Gaia and your guides and everyone else while I quickly run through the standard protocols. Authentic hide, authentic hide. We call upon the one true authentic light means the hide. Please make sure we go to you and no one else true hide. And take that last glance at Gaia again. You look up and you see the big ball. Well, you see the white light. A small point of white light way up above in the distance. Getting bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. And the whole roof of the crystal ball lights up. And we finally reach it. We come to a sudden yet somehow gentle stop, and we slowly, lovingly move through this thick platform of light. And he closes at the bottom. Opens up at the top. And we rise above. Okay. Okay, be 100% comfortable. We form a straight line behind, but above Gaia. The crystal ball peels evenly from the top center. Remember to breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. Okay, let's spend a couple of minutes seeing and feeling and connecting with these managers of multiverses. Very, again, if you're new, very primordial beings of light. And of course, they're very close to source. and use this opportunity to connect with them and feel their unique energy signature. Just being up here gives you super high frequencies and it cleanses your aura, accelerates evolution. And feel what they feel like for a minute or so. And use this opportunity to go even deeper into that meditative state, which of course effectively begins the mass meditation. Authentic God, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level? And pay a little bit of background attention to the center of your head where some of your higher senses are. Again, just being up here cleanses your aura. Alrighty. And now it's time to engage the heart. Authentic God, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy to our hearts? Connect with us through our hearts. And let's come from the heart. And again, just have a little bit of background attention in the center of your chest or heart. And feel what they feel like. And this really helps you bring you even deeper and more into the critical and supreme now. And don't worry if you're having trouble seeing. Ironically, you put in even less effort to see better. Because keep in mind, the energies are very intense. You know, we're really experiencing huge breakthroughs. We're on the verge of even bigger breakthroughs. So again, as always, the old spiritual motto, the less you try, the easier it is, or the art of non-trying. And really center yourself in the heart or center of your chest. And you can, as your center, if you will, you can use what's called the assemblage point, which is the whole central part of your entire physical and non-physical makeup. And that's a great... Alrighty. All right, put some focus on your guides if you have them, while quickly calling in the rest of the teams. You know, we obviously all work with a lot of beings. And I'll call upon the infinite army, the authentic amalgam. Okay. Again, they are brilliant auric technicians and transmuters on both the human energy system and Gaia's energy system. All right, good. I call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and the unique physicality that presents itself as one man. In this model, goes by the name of Oberon. You can see him as a big golden being of light, up to the right, perhaps, over on the other side of Gaia. Alrighty. Repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my soul and see it as a point of white light up above, wherever you want to see it. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul. And see there's a slightly bigger ball of light behind your soul in a different color if you prefer. And now repeat after me. I call upon my authentic I am. And see, kind of like a ring of bright, white, long strands of shining light behind your oversoul. Back to white, perhaps. Okay. Authentic Legion of Light. There is Gaia. Here is the 144K. Okay. Take us to the space and place of omnipresence. All right, take a good look around at Gaia, at some of the teams, and all of a sudden, we're taken to omnipresence with everything going bright white. You can barely see Gaia. In the middle, it's so bright you have to squint your eyes as we are transported, or more to the point, kind of elevated to omnipresence, namely through our connection, conscious connection to our I am. And the bright light disappears. Everything looks the same. Alrighty. Authentic Legion of Light. There is Gaia. It is March 29th, 2025 of the Solar Eclipse. We're poised for a massive pulse or flash of light to activate the dragon, etheric leylines for a huge quantum leap in planetary liberation and final victory of the light. Okay. We request full removal, but with grace. All so-called dark matter primarily at the 3rd and 4th physical plane density, so-called micro black holes within the human collective, not just the third and fourth density physical plane of Gaia. And anything else whatsoever that will reduce or threatens to reduce the amount of light reaching the surface, an entire crust of the third and fourth physical density, and the etheric planes, should I say the etheric dragon leylines throughout Gaia. Alrighty. Alrighty, fantastic. Also, authentic legion of light. There is, of course, the all too familiar subquantum anomaly, which is basically like an ocean. Okay. Of the physical plane, third and fourth density, physical plane, primarily throughout the crust and lower atmosphere, and of course, surface of the physical plane of this planet. Alrighty. As always, let's transmute things both from the outside in and from the inside out. So fundamental for rapid acceleration of planetary liberation, I guess. As the teams continue to scan and transmute. Now, let's all surround Gaia. Gaia is in a quarantine sphere. But you can see very clearly through it. It doesn't hinder vision whatsoever. And most usually have a white quarantine sphere, and we're surrounding the quarantine sphere. All right, now really center yourself in the heart It doesn't mean forget about the head necessarily. Now, pick one or two of the teams. It could simply be your I am. It could simply be the HOD, multiversal beings. It could be Oberon. It doesn't matter. Pick one or two, and if there's anything, I don't know, either frustrating you or bothering you in any degree of a negative way, just show that briefly for as little as a couple of seconds. It can all be done in a couple of seconds. All right, great. Okay, yep. I just want to confirm that they're just asking us to start with the subquantum anomaly because of its very pervasive nature. Even though dark matter particles are also everywhere, beneath dark matter is the quantum anomaly, and beneath that is a subquantum anomaly. Alrighty. Again, stay in that meditative state. All right. And repeat after me. Authentic I am presence, HOD, and all my high dimensional aspects. Within the quarantine sphere, show the entirety of the subquantum anomaly Alrighty. Okay, now see basically like a very dark grey, almost black ball within the white quarantine sphere that we're surrounded at, still at quite a distance. And repeat after me. Authentic I am. Soul and oversoul. Authentic Hod and Oberon. Guides and all legions of light. Present to us the ultimate consciousness mechanism and technology. Driven and powered by the deepest levels of source love. Especially made to rapidly, instantaneously, clear and transmute quantum and subquantum anomaly and any related dark matter of the physical plane of the third and fourth density. Alrighty. Now this profound creation, it's going to be something new. Driven by our consciousness that's projected from the physical plane here, or the third density, but driven by the deepest levels, the most overwhelming set levels of source love, which is really goddess love. All right, now see this technology appear about the same size as the quarantine sphere. up above the quarantine sphere. Okay. Now what it is a magenta colored sphere, but throughout the surface are these golden sacred geometry grids, if you will. Now look at your IM just a bit further up and see it come forth. See it reduce in size. And if you want, you can see everybody else's IM. Almost like a large constellation. And start seeing all these IMs coming into this magenta sphere. Of the deepest, primarily made up of the deepest level of love. And see all these IMs come down into it. And see your IM kind of find its own place within this magenta. And throughout the surface is a golden grid of what appears to be pentagrams within pentagrams within pentagrams. Kind of like I suppose, a soccer ball. And within each, it's like 5 pentagrams, or should I say an extra 4 pentagrams within each larger pentagram throughout the surface. And just see your IM within the 5th smallest pentagram. So profound multidimensional nature to this. And now, again, play around with distance and angles and so forth. Again, the less you try, the easier it is. And begin to lower it. So it's kind of like, it's like a macabre in one sense, where the macabre is a technology, right? Essentially, it's a technology, but derived from higher dimensional love-based consciousness. So you can think about that as that way in terms of same sort of concept. The flower of life is a sacred love-based or source-based geometric technology, really. And so what we're going to do, we're going to simply through intent program the quarantine sphere to only have a one-way entry for this magenta and gold sacred geometric technology, driven by the deepest levels of source love and the highest level of our power, all combined synergistically. And so this is the kind of thing that it takes to really and radically go so much faster, at least a dozen times faster in achieving a particular goal. It's a good idea to get kind of more clear and specific about what you want to clear. And then from deep within the love of your heart and from some of the highest aspects of your own consciousness, you create something specific to that. It's like, again, flower of life has a specific purpose, structure, ability and power and so forth. The macabre, same thing. So this is specific to clearing the subquantum anomaly. Okay. So once again, get comfortable with how far you want to see this from. You know, broaden your view and begin to bring it closer and closer to the, I guess, the north pole of the quarantine sphere. Bring it closer, but still a considerable distance away. You know, almost 2 diameters away. And see the, I'll just call it magenta gold sphere, moving oh so slowly, but closer and closer towards a quarantine sphere to within 1 diameter of the quarantine sphere. And it's pretty much exactly the same size as the quarantine sphere. Again, take the occasional glance in that very creative, playful, limitless, childlike way. Take that glance over to your left and right to literally see the golden light bodies of your dearly beloved 144K brethren, where you're all combining each other's I am. And the teams beyond that, you know, surrounding us. And and lower it and lower it. Until it touches the top of the quarantine sphere. And you can see, and if you want, you can make the quarantine sphere very sort of faint to easily see through it. You can turn it into whatever color you want. Again, you're literally a god, especially when projecting your consciousness from so far down to so far up. There's just extra dynamics that apply if you're new. And now see the magenta golden sphere, and you can make out all the white shining I am presences within each of the smallest golden pentagram shapes throughout the surface of this magenta sphere. See it begin, just barely move into the quarantine sphere where there's still a little bit of a distance from where at least the thickest part of the subquantum anomaly merges. And do stay outside the quarantine sphere just to confirm and clarify. And before it touches, I want you to think about this following truth, where, and I think I have used this very true and accurate analogy. It's from David Wilcock, who's always been and still is an amazing scholar. There's no doubt about his very scientific, scholarly research abilities. And he once said that even a cupful of 0 point energy, so we're just talking, physical to physical, a cupful of 0 point energy is enough to just burn up all of the world's oceans. And so look at least two of the hot on the far side, because they surround us, and look at your I am presence within one of the pentagram, deep within one of those 5x5 pentagram structures along the surface of this magenta sphere of sacred love. And apply that level of consciousness, of true perfectly scientific fundamentals. Or fundamental, I should say. And now begin to, I suppose, touch the upper atmosphere little portion of the North Pole of the subquantum anomaly. You can turn the quarantine sphere itself into whatever color you want. It could be a, perfectly translucent, dark violet or indigo, whatever it is. And again, feel the guidance by having some small degree of consciousness on guidance. And this is going to be the equivalent, although it's going to take a bit longer, because there's a fair bit of depth. Of the burning off and melting of subquantum anomaly. Now, and just see, again, from outside the quarantine sphere, floating about, just above the North Pole, I suppose. Just this dissolving of the small portion initially of the very top upper atmosphere of the North Pole of the subquantum anomaly. Again, see from a distance, at least two of the teams on the far side, on either side. We're all together here. And now repeat after me, everybody. I call upon the Intergalactic Confederation I call upon the cosmic central sun races and see big spherical ships forming kind of like a ring, like about a dozen of them. They seem to be blue, forming kind of like a ring, sort of, I don't know, not underneath, obviously, but in between the quarantine sphere and this golden magenta sphere. And they begin to converge and move to the northern, how can I put it? To the North Pole, but as a ring, and they move in, if that makes sense. And they have also projecting a specific frequency that's specific to dissolving subquantum anomaly. But also quantum anomaly. And the subquantum anomaly is sort of in between and fills all the spaces between quantum anomaly, in other words, quantum particles. And they move downwards, mostly focusing on the surface, or while the atmosphere and surface. And you see a complete dissolving, and take a time of quantum and subquantum anomaly, third and fourth density, physical plane, moving through the upper atmosphere and towards the lower atmosphere of the North Pole. And try to center yourself in the heart. And see what you see. You can, occasionally shift a little bit of consciousness onto your I am within this golden magenta sphere, or your guides, because it's hard to see such a phenomena. And again, see it all come closer and moving into the atmosphere kind of slowly, because you're sort of draining a whole ocean here, but there's a perturbating, dissolving white light that's obviously preceding the descending magenta sphere, and that ring of, well, they're blue ships, really. They're in the form of spheres, but they're light blue ships. And just dissolving, melting. And moving downward. Now, that ring of a dozen or so of those intergalactic spherical blue ships, they sort of begin to move into the lower atmosphere of the North Pole. And of course, beneath, it's all just black. It's all just subquantum anomaly. And just beneath them is that, that glimmering, perturbating white transmutational light. But remember, this is physical plane. third and fourth density physical plane. And they, as they get into the lower atmosphere, they then begin to move along the surface. They don't go any lower because they don't need to. Their technology and power, which is a portal to source, 0-point energy, and they're able to project it downwards through the surface of the planet, they begin to very slowly move slowly through the surface. Along the surface profile of the planet. But the big magenta golden sphere, that keeps them, that's a different sort of technology run by different sort of consciousness. And that just only moves downward. Partly because it's only vibrating at the subquantum level. And it, again, see the black throughout the northern hemisphere, North Pole, still just go inward, receding downward, and you get that initial crater-like structure as a subquantum anomaly just melts, is the best way I can describe it, leaving behind a white line, I guess. But at the same time, very gently cleansing and purifying Gaia's grids and ley lines. In between the vast ocean of, or in between quantum particles, in between quantum anomaly. So in between quantum anomaly is subquantum anomaly. So you can think of subquantum anomaly as floating blocks of ice, and the quantum anomaly as the water, to give you that understanding, because it helps. And so that ring of those blue spherical ships of the Intergalactic Confederation that are specific to this purpose, they continue to move within the atmosphere, but they got a long reach all the way through to the crust, that sort of broadcast specific dissolving frequencies. But the giant magenta golden sphere, that's all full of our respective I am presences, that just continues to very slowly move downward. Now, we're doing this slowly. Don't worry, it's not going to take forever. We're doing this slowly because it's just too massive and dramatic a shift for Gaia and the fabric of reality, our own bodies. You know, you can't do 12 months of, personal physical detox in the space of a few minutes, it'll be just, obviously way too extreme and destabilizing. So it's ironically very gentle and slow in nature where you meditate on it. And here's the interesting part. All right, most of you will have heard Q say timing is everything. We're exactly 18 and a half minutes away from the light reaching the grids. Regarding the pulse of light or a solar flash of light that Cobra spoke about. Okay. And because I want to make sure we really time this well for maximum impact, I'm literally using my timer here. All right, I think I'll put it to 17 minutes and 40 seconds. Sounds good to me. And the time here, local time here is 4:04 equals 8, meaning infinity. Or I guess it's a sideways 8, really. So we've got literally 17 minutes and 30 seconds, well, 28 seconds now, to remove the whole sack of anomaly so that when the light hits that solar, what did he call it? Solar flash of light or pulse of light? Anyway, that Cobra spoke about, pardon me, it'll actually fully reach the surface. It's going to go through everything because everything is gone. Everything that could have resisted is gone, and it's going to fully get absorbed by the dragon etheric leyline grids, among other things. And you are, well, thanks to us, the 144K, on the vanguard for the umpteenth time, the fullest, highest potential of the solar eclipse pulse of light is manifested, reached, actualized. Really think about, well, not that you really need to think about it, it's just profound. So let's just hold focus. So within the quarantine sphere, it's all just black. Subquantum anomaly, like a giant, I don't know if you can imagine a massive sphere made out of black tar or black oil. And of course, yes, there is a dark, extremely dark consciousness pervasive throughout the subquantum anomaly. We're dissolving, and there's a few other things. There's the stuff that technology hides, or technology is able to hide itself within the subquantum anomaly. And now, the entire North Pole, that light is just moving downward, reaching the surface of the North Pole and moving through the ice, meaning it's moving through quantum anomaly as well, but subquantum anomaly, because that's sort of like the underpinning for the quantum anomaly. And in terms of altitude, I guess, or in relation to the physical third density surface, we're moving through the polar ice cap and dissolving. And those ring of spheres of the intergalactic confederation, they're moving all along the lower atmosphere very slowly to allow for adjustment for Gaia, her anatomy, her grids, her frequency. Because this is a very deep, all the way cleanse. So it has to be slow and gentle. Otherwise, it's just too much, too soon, too much detox. Again, 12 months worth of detox in the space of, 1 hour or 1 minute. We're sort of really doing it far more than that. But in a space of, what have we got left here? 12 and a half minutes. So we're taking our time with the beginning of this because that's when the biggest shift, tectonic shifts start to occur. So you just want to take it easy at first, making sure it's all good. And then you move a little bit faster. Okay, now the magenta and golden sphere, powered by Sacred Geometry and our collective I am, is just moving through the physical level surface, completely dissolving, transmuting, dissolving, melting, slowly and gracefully and carefully. The subquantum anomaly. Okay, so basically within the quarantine sphere is just a black sphere, which is currently us, currently Gaia, with all this subquantum anomaly, and moves. So you get the point now. There's this profound, fascinating combination of extreme power. 11:11, perfect. And that's in London, where they have Greenwich time that everything revolves around. Anyway, that's interesting. So there's this profound combination of the most extreme power, but at the same time, extreme gentleness is the best way I can describe it. To be gentle on Gaia and us as we move, because as she adjusts, as the fabric of reality, of our reality adjusts here on the physical quantum and subquantum level, and everything's looking good, we can start to pick up the speed. So it's hard to say, hard to quantify as you continue to observe and visualize in order to actualize from whatever angle you want. Just make sure you're outside the quarantine sphere so that your consciousness is very hard to pick up. It's hard to quantify how much progress, how many months, if not years worth of progress, we're condensing down to 10 minutes now. So this is why you got to do it in this extreme way, but extreme gentle way. It's like a combination of two opposites or ironies, whatever you want to call it. Nice and gentle, deep cleanse. You take your time. So now you move the magenta golden sphere, past Earth's crust of the North Pole. All right. Because there's still subquantum anomaly all the way down and beneath the Earth's crust. There's still a fair bit there. But it's mostly concentrated on the surface. And so lower atmosphere, surface, and all of Gaia's crust. That's still quite a distance, quite a thickness. So you sort of go along with that. And preceding this increasing movement of extreme, but at the same time, soft and gentle light. Again, it's hard to verbalize. Are those intergalactic blue spheres that are moving sort of like on the outside throughout the lower atmosphere. Okay. They can't go, because they're ETs basically, insanely advanced ETs, they can't just go full on, all in, down to the surface. It's just too much of a contrast to do it all at once. It'll shake up and destabilize the third and fourth physical density. But the magenta golden sphere, that's us. That's from us. Which means it's from your own personal heart level, consciousness level, being projected from the chair or couch that you're sitting in. So there's already that, merged pre-existing positioning within it all. I'm hoping that's making sense. There you go. Anyway, let's move through. Softness in spite of the power. Okay. Remember, we're dealing with things that are, I'll use the term molecular bonds, atomic bonds that hold our fabric of reality together, albeit in a negative way with the dark matter. You know what I mean? So you can't just go whammo. Not a good idea when you're dealing with the physical plane, third and fourth density. Anyway, let's move through. Now, allow yourself to notice that the golden magenta sphere is just a bit bigger than the whole quarantine sphere. I apologize if I forgot to mention that. It's just a bit bigger. So, in other words, significantly bigger than the blackness that is currently Gaia, covered up in the subquantum anomaly. And you move through. Now, hold faith here. Hold a certain, a heart level faith and determination as you see this and witness this. Move through. And so the blue spheres that are sort of like forming a ring as I go outwards, following the contour of Gaia's lower atmosphere, if that makes sense, that's dissolving in that preparation kind of way. It's like, your clothes where you do a pre-soak before you do the proper wash kind of thing. That's all I got for you. And now move through. We're going to go quicker. Dissolving. The huge magenta, golden, with all those pentagrams within pentagrams, 5 of them. That's got our I am in between or in the middle of each of the smallest pentagrams, right, along the surface of the magenta sphere. That's now moving closer, but think gentleness. And the black just dissolving all the way through the surface. And now it's reaching at the level of Gaia's core, where there's not much there in terms of subquantum anomaly, but compatible at a compatible frequency. There you go. And now move through. Now the blue spheres have reached the equator. It's all white. The blackness is dissolving. Okay. And move through. We got 40 seconds left. Moving through to the lower atmosphere, the southern hemisphere, 33 seconds left. The blue spheres starting to converge towards the lower, closer and closer towards the South Pole. Dissolving deep within subquantum realm. Moving, and now reaching the southern, the South Pole, dissolving, 1 second, and boom. The whole magenta golden sphere is now also acting as an antenna to receive even more of the pulse of light that's occurring in real time right now. And if you want, you can see a golden light just moving right through Gaia at the frequency level of the etheric leyline grids. And you can just sort of switch view to all these beautiful golden etheric leyline grids throughout mountain ranges, just lighting up intensely and really lighting up brightly. Visualize that in whatever way comes to you. And hold. And now see the magenta golden sphere absorb, receive, and then accrete even more of this solar flash, even more. Now, the etheric leyline grids can only receive so much all at once, but when we're just maximizing it within, I suppose, safe levels. receive guidance from your guides, your I am, and now really accrete the light through the surface, throughout the surface, dissolving, dissolving. And you can see intense golden light in amongst a brown or magenta surface, really lighting things up. And now see and feel dark matter, micro black holes, dark matter, just dissolving. And we're going to do that from the South Pole upward. And so you look as if let's all just go down beneath it all. Okay, and look up at that area where the South Pole is. And you can see it's still grey, a bit of depth to it. And see white light emerging, deep penetrating white light emerging from the very bottom center of the South Pole and then moving outward. And there's a lot of depth to it. It's going right through the atmosphere, right through the physical surface, dissolving quantum and subquantum anomaly in dark matter. And just so there's a lot of depth. Again, it'll look like a crater, but moving outwards past the shores of the South Pole, leaving, let's go with magenta, holding focus on dissolving quantum and subquantum physical and all the darkness consciousness within it, leaving a deep, beautiful, rich magenta that is Gaia's atmosphere and crust, and just moving it outwards past the shores of the south of Antarctica into the levels of the ocean. So you don't have to see the normal physical geography. I'm just giving you a sense of space. And just move it, slowly, very bright white light moving upward, but very deep, going right through the atmosphere, right through the oceans and crust. So there's depth there. Okay, keep that in mind. And moving, holding your consciousness on dissolving quantum and subquantum anomaly and dark matter that have negative geometric structures, and just moving the bright, deep, white, receding, transmuting light closer and closer towards the equator. So we can do it fast now because we've already removed so much. And getting closer to the equator, quantum, subquantum anomaly, dark matter, and reaching finally the equator. Again, visualize the depth of it all, going deep into, past the Earth's crust, just a little past it, leaving a beautiful, rich, deep magenta in its wake. And now we move up the equator, feel the depth, leaving a beautiful, stunning, very feminine magenta in its wake of this receding, very thick, white, clearing transportational light specific to dark matter, quantum and subquantum anomaly at the physical plane level, and moving up past the equator, very bright, very thick white light, moving up a third of the way towards the North Pole. Take your time. halfway between the equator and the North Pole, leaving a rich, deep magenta, and a little bit past halfway, and now moving up towards the shores, I guess, of the North Polar ice cap. Feel the thickness and depth. And moving up, reaching the edges of the North Polar ice cap, and then really coming together in the heart of the North Pole. Again, depth, a lot of depth, leaving a very deep, rich, pristine magenta atmosphere and crust, which obviously includes a surface, and finally culminating into a small, at this point, a thick, deep pillar of white light, and that converges and disappears. Okay. Now zoom out. And we're just going to move, white, soft white light throughout what is represented as a magenta color of Gaia's mostly lower atmosphere and crust. But we're moving things at the subquantum level. Just move it gentle, upgrading the frequency. And now let's switch to the etheric leyline grids. Okay, so you can visualize it as the same sort of thing. As a lot of the mountain ranges, and see these golden brown, somewhat curving etheric leyline grids, and just light them up. Or you can move a wave of white light along the surface from the North Pole to the South Pole. As in a wave of light that reaches from the North Pole to the South Pole and then moving eastward, and leaving in its wake very bright, lit up golden dragon ley lines in bright golden ley line curving in a crimson or a darker crimson background. And just move that light all around, because now, again, when you're projecting consciousness from the physical to any non-physical plane, it really happens. And just move through. See that in whatever way works for you. Of course, you don't have to see it perfectly. As we move that white light, it's as if you're uncovering gold. Is another way to describe the long veins of gold in behind, on top of a crimson background. See that in whatever way works for you, but that as a kind of basis or reference point. Going right around. And, those golden dragon ley lines, roughly in the shape of long, beautiful mountain ranges, I guess, is one way to describe it. And you can zoom in at this point. It's safe a little bit. We really have fun with this now. Almost as if you're decorating something as we come to a close. And really feel the depth and richness of this whole etheric leyline grid surface area. And let me just make sure we've covered everything. Okay. Now in half an hour, we're going to take, take a little breather and toilet break and just walk around. It's as if you got a holographic image of Gaia within a quarantine sphere of sorts in your living room or bedroom, whatever it is that you got going on. And you're looking around. That's the kind of thing we're going to do shortly. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is the Luciferians are getting all excited in just under half an hour about the so-called devil's horns thing, where you got the moon low over the horizon and the sun rising on the east coast, and the sun partially moves behind the moon, all right, because it's a partial solar eclipse. And some of you will be familiar with the whole thing where, because it's happened at least once before, where the moon's is in that precise position of the rising sun, where it looks like so-called devil's horns. The rising sun, orange, and the moon in front of it, partially covering it, but in the middle area, so that on either side, you got that narrow crescent shape on either side of the moon that is that portion of the sun, and it looks like horns. And so they're going to be peaking, I guess, their little ritual, trying to push back or downgrade this massive achievement that we've accomplished, which we withdraw our consent and agreement to. And you can say that verbally as well as you take a toilet break or so forth. Now, the good news is, because sometimes the light forces and upper dimensionals, they kind of, I don't know, I'll use the term hit the brakes on how much we can do at once. Otherwise, because, it can destabilize things too much with certain things. So while we sort of take a short break, a breather, and prepare for Mr. Devil Horns man, as you're walking around, you can sort of visualize or revisualize that original magenta golden work of art and technology that we use to dissolve the bulk of the subquantum anomaly. Okay, Devil's Horns is happening in about 11 minutes. So come back from the bathroom if you haven't already. Walk around let's really have fun here. Imagine you just had this beautiful holographic image of Gaia and surrounding space a little bit, and return your consciousness back to that original magenta golden sphere that we used, specific to dissolving subquantum anomaly. See all our bright white little spheres in between all those pentagrams, like the soccer ball kind of thing. Again, it's like 5 pentagrams within each other, and in the middle of the smallest pentagram is I am presence, one of our I am presences. And this creates profound synergy because it combines the brute strength of our and omnipresent nature of our I am, focused and concentrated, but with the power of sacred geometry that's programmed and charged with a specific intent and program. Very, very powerful stuff. And now see that same thing basically, but just beyond or beneath the South Pole, and see the ring of blue intergalactic spheres, lower atmosphere, South Pole as well, and they start to move outward. You can see them beaming something if you want, but they're beaming a frequency that's not necessarily visible, but beneath you see white light moving. And see the any remaining subquantum anomaly very much on the surface, upper crust, lower atmosphere, and surface of Gaia. So still a fair bit of thickness, and this is the deepest part of the subquantum anomaly. And just move them through. So same thing, but we can do it much quicker this time. Past again, see the thick white light dissolving, the blackness around the surface of Gaia, which is the blackness of the subquantum anomaly, and just opening, it's as if it's opening up the South Pole and moving past the South Pole coastline, the Antarctic coastline, into the oceans. And we can go a little bit faster this time. And at the same time, as those blue intergalactic spheres move outwards along the lower atmosphere, moving towards the equator, reaching South Australia and Latin America, see that magenta golden sphere move into and dissolving the deepest part of the subquantum anomaly throughout the surface area, primarily the surface area of the South Pole, well into the crust and the DUMS level, deep underground military bases level, moving gently but swiftly upwards into the crust of Antarctica, deeper underground, and moving upwards all together. And see white light once again, a ring of white light dissolving, gently melting the blackness of the deepest part of the subquantum anomaly that's now throughout the surface, plus or minus, obviously. So again, there's thickness, a bit of thickness, and move it upwards, outwards, halfway between Antarctica and the equator. White light, again, leaving a completely cleared deepest part of the subquantum anomaly. That's the deepest part being pretty much on the surface profile of the physical plane of Gaia. And just moving it slowly, coming closer and closer towards the equator, leaving behind, in the wake of this dissolving white light. Any color you want, really, that represents a completely cleared surface area, deepest part of the subquantum anomaly, completely cleared. As we move our original magenta golden sphere upwards towards the core of Gaia, because it's at a compatible frequency where you can just move through things, but targeting the deepest parts of the soul, the subquantum anomaly, the deepest part being concentrated on the surface profile of the physical plane. And just moving it closer to the equator and dissolving. Again, the magenta golden sphere, it's bigger than Gaia, and it's just collecting, dissolving gently. And you see the dark gray, while blackness of the deepest part of the subquantum anomaly being, I don't know, dissolving by the combination of those 12 or so blue spheres. And from the inside at this point, nice and slowly and gentle, coming up through Gaia. And you can enlarge the magenta golden sphere even a little more if it makes it easier for you. And see the blackness just being removed by an upwards moving ring of white transmutational frequency and light. And if you need to, you can go back in time space and just moving it through, reaching into past the equator, and moving into the northern hemisphere. Again, it's a massive shift, so you do want to be a little slow to allow for the adjustment. And really see this happen. Kind of feel it at the same time as this golden magenta just moves slowly and gently upwards, along with those blue spherical ships just ahead of it, but pointing their beams downwards, dissolving the blackness throughout the surface. Halfway up between the equator and the North Pole, and bit by bit, take your time. Just past the halfway point of the equator and the North Pole. See from whatever angle works for you. Moving through. Beautiful. Reaching Northern Europe and Canada. That whole area there, well into Northern Siberia. Really dissolving a deep depth all the way down to where there's no subquantum anomaly. It's the equivalent of dissolving vast oceans. That's why, I did my best to sort of give it that reference point for a better sense. And now, reaching the shores of the North Polar ice cap and closing it, more and more. Again, think depth and reaching. And it's all just white in that whole area of the Northern Polar ice cap. And merging, it's just one brief vertical pillar of light as it squeezes, and boom, gone. And see the whole magenta golden sphere sort of rise up above just above the surface of the North Polar ice cap. And we're going to stop it there, as in the golden magenta sphere. We're going to stop it there. Now, remember how I said that the gold magenta sphere is, bigger, a bit bigger than Gaia, going just past her atmosphere. So basically, you're going to allow yourself to barely see Gaia within this golden magenta sphere. You can make it out. And we're going to beam frequencies, dissolving frequencies that are charged by source love. You know how I said there's, throughout the surface of the magenta sphere are those pentagrams, like a soccer ball, right? Those old soccer balls. But there's 5 golden pentagrams, flat throughout the surface, pentagrams within each other. And then in the middle is your I am. Now, see your I am move into, it goes a little lower. And now I'll do my best to describe this. Each of the pentagrams, again, think soccer ball, one within the other. See the smallest one sink down to the surface of Gaia. Okay. Just a little bit. It's all sort of, if you get my drift. So visualize the surface level in whatever way works for you. All right. You can see the surface level as, there's still a fair bit of dark matter and micro black holes and a more thin layer of quantum and subquantum anomaly. And see, as you're hovering around outside and above, whatever, each of these pentagrams just sort of submerge into the blackness because they're going through the surface of Gaia. And they sort of disappear. And then they got the other outer golden pentagram that was a little bit bigger. That one sort of follows it and goes into the blackness. Okay. Through, into the crust of Gaia. All right. And now the third pentagram, that just goes a little bit into the blackness, but you can still make it out. So it's more like a dull brown color, right, throughout the whole sphere. So just leave the magenta side of things alone for now. And so then you got the fourth golden pentagram that's just sort of lower atmosphere, really lower atmosphere, like the level of skyscrapers. So they're a bit murky, but you can make it out as well. And then you got the fifth one, which is upper atmosphere, and they're all sort of layered now, if you know what I mean. But the bigger outer ones that are higher, that now form the outer surface of this golden sphere, that's, again, think soccer balls, that's still pretty bright. Now see, you know, yours and everybody else's bright I am presence that are like stars that were within the smaller innermost pentagram that's now gone right through the surface and you can't see it. Hold vision on that. Just hold vision. You know, move throughout as if you're floating about above, you know, outside the atmosphere, and you can see it all. You know, get comfortable with that vision here and there. Boy, talk about teamwork and unity. So all our iron presences floating there at the level of the outermost surface of this golden sphere, where you have those larger, the largest pentagrams that obviously touch each other. Charge them up. See them getting brighter, or everybody's I am getting brighter. And see, just with intent, what's an equivalent? Think of a wire fence that you're charging up with more and more electricity. Is one way to put it, I suppose. Again, pick what works for you in terms of me communicating this to you, where the outer golden pentagrams that are, you know, in upper atmosphere, I suppose, seem getting charged up. And yeah, it's almost as if you can hear that zapping, buzzing electrical sound is the best way I can describe it. And they're getting really powered up by our I am that are in the middle of these larger upper atmosphere pentagrams. Really charge it up. It's accruing more power, charging it as if you're priming the pump. And now we're really going to hit the sweet spot from yet another angle, because that's the way the 144K rolls. Feel the roars, the cheers from seemingly all that is. Feel their love, their cheering, rooting for us, because we're on the inside. Flipping it all from the inside. Now hold the intent of calibrating all these I ams right in the heart of the upper and outermost golden pentagram thing. Again, think soccer ball. See them getting brighter, charging everything up, powering up, powering up. And now see, because the whole thing is one giant antenna as well. That's got depth, pentagram within a pentagram within a pentagram. Okay, major sacred geometric breakthrough and powerhouse. All right, think big, but in that scientific high consciousness way, because we're dealing with the same density and frequency and plane that we're on. You know, where it's a different sort of situation from projecting consciousness from the physical to the non-physical. And see, how do I put it? See the subquantum anomaly primarily concentrated throughout the surface area, ocean, surface area, you know, plus or minus, but the deepest part being very much the surface physical plane profile of Gaia. And see the deeper golden pentagrams within a pentagram start to become visible and just, you know, breaking up the blackness of the subquantum anomaly physical plane, deepest part being on the surface. And these things broadcast. So you see the blackness getting a bit lighter and starting to, you know, be in those, what's the word I'm looking for here? The blackness of the subquantum anomaly, mostly concentrated throughout the surface and crust and lower atmosphere, just forming as if they're melted by each of the 5 layered golden pentagrams that have gone deep, and they become visible. And there's still a fair bit of blackness in between the pentagrams, but now you can see the golden pentagrams deep just below the physical surface. I'm hoping that makes sense. It's very hard to verbalize, but just run with it. Alrighty. And really feel it just dissolve, melting away like butter, and you can see the subquantum anomaly, they're kind of forming, they've inevitably formed into a rough sort of pentagram shape, you know, kind of like the Pentagon, I guess, in between the golden wire kind of pentagram shapes of the original golden and magenta sphere. Again, I'm doing my best to verbalize this, right? It's not easy. And float around where you can see the depth of the layered golden pentagrams that are now pristine and bright. But there's still a fair bit of subquantum anomaly in between them. In between the golden wires of those layered golden pentagrams, but it's all really, you know, porous, I guess. Now, increase charge, I'll use the term electrical charge, frequency charge of the whole golden wire shaped pentagrams. They go obviously deep into the ground, layered. So upper atmosphere, and then the next smaller golden wide pentagram, lower atmosphere, then the next one on the surface. And then the next one under that, we're smaller again, through the surface, and the one after that, last one, the smallest one, deep underground, and charge them up, really reducing the subquantum anomaly even more. And very bright now, as in there's still a dark grayness of the subquantum anomaly throughout the surface mostly, and in the middle is still black, within the heart of each of these golden pentagrams. Really charge it up, dissolving. And now see deep through the through the surface, that most bottom inner and smaller golden wire kind of pentagrams. You start to be able to see them visibly, and just beyond that, you can see the stunning magenta, pristine femininity of Gaia. Just barely past the physical crust of Gaia, and you can see it. You can make out the magenta. All right. And really put some focus on clearly, visibly seeing the magenta through Gaia, through and beneath, past these layered golden pentagrams. Feel the depth, and really, there's still a fair bit of subquantum anomaly throughout the middle of these little layered golden wire pentagrams. Charge it up with electricity, for lack of a better term. And you see the magenta deep within and past. Even more visible. Subquantum anomaly getting even more weaker. And now put a little bit of focus on each of everybody's iron presence. That's like a star in the heart of the upper and outermost golden wire pentagram shape of the spheres. Just see that. And now, because it's still in the central area, even at the very bottom, innermost, smaller pentagram, there's still a lot of blackness, but now really porous, still penetrated right through. And just float around as if you're floating around just outside the atmosphere, or outside above the bigger and outermost golden wire pentagrams, forming that soccer ball kind of structure. See the I am that look like little stars, just that are in the middle of each of the outermost golden wire pentagram. Just move inward all together. And moving through the heart, the center of, like right through the middle, heading towards the surface of the planet, of each of these golden wire pentagrams, and dissolving that still large amounts of subquantum and quantum anomaly and dark matter and micro black holes, so hold some consciousness there, and just still and really dissolving them as I go downwards towards the lower atmosphere, reaching that second inner layer of the golden wire pentagram, dissolving. This is the power of your I am, our collective I am. And then moving towards the lower atmosphere where that third level and smaller golden wire pentagram is all around the planet. So there's at least 24 of them all around the planet in terms of how many actual pentagrams. Again, think soccer ball and you're fine. And dissolving subquantum anomaly, a fair bit of dark matter and micro black holes. And it's going to get more intense as we reach the surface where our physical bodies are, where our current incarnations are, and just move through the surface. So get ready for that one. Moving lower still, I'm just making sure the South Pole is covered as well. North Pole, moving in. Again, you don't have to see the whole thing all at once, just one half of the planet. One side of the planet is still good. Inwards, bright I am presence white spheres, moving inwards into the lower atmosphere where the third deeper golden wire pentagram shape is. Dissolving, again, pick your angle, it's just dissolving. Third, and now reaching the fourth level of that smaller innermost golden wire pentagram. That's pretty much on the surface. And here you take your time and you really dissolve. The almighty I am, collective being combined all together, true unity and synergy. Inwards, dissolving gracefully, all remaining dark matter, black micro black holes and subquantum anomaly, all represented by a fair bit of blackness in between, within each of the smaller and smaller golden wire pentagrams. And now coming close to the surface, this is where it gets intense. Coming close to the surface, dissolving. Closer and closer to the surface where the fourth innermost layer of the golden wire pentagrams are. And see the dark matter, quantum and subquantum anomalies sort of dissolving before the descending I am presence spheres, like bright stars from far away. And now coming close to the heart, or the same level of that fourth innermost golden wire pentagram shapes that are pretty much on the surface profile, and just moving through. Intense bright white light moving through, reaching the surface now, and feel I don't know, just a cleansing and clearing. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, just and moving through the surface into the fifth layer and innermost golden wire pentagram shapes that sunk inwards, that's well within the crust of Gaia. And see your I am, and you can make out the magenta around the golden wires because I went right through. And see your I am while everybody else is I am all along, just move through and reaching the magenta, and the blackness gives way in the heart of each pentagram area. The blackness gives way to a combination of expanding white rings of light, and then you see magenta within that, past that, and see it all right there. Dissolving, and now the blackness recedes all the way to near where the golden wires of the innermost pentagrams are, and just merging now inward through the crust level, through the surface level, into and just past that innermost layer of golden wire pentagrams, and you see magenta. You know, you briefly see a black and then light grayness of the dissolving dark matter quantum anomaly, subquantum anomaly. And all our collective I am presence just really, I mean, this is incredibly powerful I am stars, if you will, white spheres, and just and moving into the beautiful, stunning, pristine magenta of Gaia, and it's all now magenta with the golden wires, lighting it up. And now, you know, move through, float around, make sure all the I ams have gone inward past, just past the fifth innermost layer of the golden wire pentagram areas, and move them outwards, dissolving everything else, anything remaining of dark matter, micro black holes. Visualize that in whatever way works for you, because, and take your time. Okay, you can move them in and out through the heart, vertical sort of columns of these multi-layered golden wire pentagrams. Move them in and out. Collect everything, also quantum anomaly, all quantum anomaly, all micro black holes and dark matter. And the magenta and the gold getting even more pristine, even more brighter. Third density, fourth density, physical plane. That's where we're going. Move them inwards and outwards. Make sure it's all gone. It's like your, I don't know, you know, if you use those plungers, those deep brushes to clean a bottle in your kitchen, and you're moving inwards. Do that, but by seeing everybody's I am presences as, you know, small like stars moving all the way through and in between these layered golden wire pentagram shapes, all the way through into Gaia. That's now a stunning, you know, an increasingly brighter and clearer magenta, and zoop, you know, thorough wash, clearing everything. So it's like a pulsing layer of our collective I am presences. Like they look like all these stars just moving down and through these layered multi golden pentagram shaped wires. I'm looking at like a wire. Have fun. Clear quantum anomaly, subquantum anomaly, micro black holes. See lots of micro black holes just turn white and disappear. And then you see, perhaps someone else's or several ion presences just move in. Like a thorough sort of plunging wash. I don't know. And, so just to clarify, we're done. We're just making sure, how you're finishing scrubbing something and you just got to make sure you get it all kind of thing. You have fun doing that. Because this is what getting your freedom looks like. Have fun. Nothing can withstand the almighty power of your I am. Because for all intents and purposes, we're done. You can float around and plunge in all these, I am presences. But, I feel like just bringing up Cobra's post again and saying, okay, let's make sure we got it all. You know what I mean? And if you have his latest post up on your phone or computer, whatever, bring it up. Let's double check it together. It's like a shopping list. Let's go through the laundry list. And allow me to do the honors of reading it out to you, because it's, I used to do this on Ground Crew Command Radio years ago before I just didn't have the time and energy, sadly, because we constantly have to create an income somehow. And, as we see these multi-layered golden and magenta phenomena, sphere of Gaia, with all our ion presences moving up and down through the atmosphere, through the middle of these layered golden wire pentagrams. As we see that, I'll just read this out. There was a drastic clearing process of dark matter anomaly and subquantum anomaly taking place in the last few weeks. Clearing of dark matter anomaly had a strong impact on the health of many people. There you go. Also, many dark matter micro black holes were being cleared, a few of them impacting human beings, in most cases causing moderate and sometimes severe discomfort. I bet most of you know what that's been like. During the last few weeks, the positive timeline through the Trump, that's politics related, I suppose. Here's where it gets interesting as well. On March 23rd, when we did our Saturn rings facing Earth 144K mass meditation, he goes on to say, Saturn's rings were edge on, and this has completed a 29-year purification of the deepest cosmic evil, which started in early 96, when Saturn's rings were edge on at that time as well, on February 11th. Light workers are extremely tired from all the battles that took place. That took place in the last 3 decades, but the dark forces are exhausted even more, fighting for their very existence, and many are on the verge of giving up. Now that much of the anomaly, and this is great news because, folks, this went up, I think, just before we started. Let me find the precise time, because this is Pacific time. 4:36 p.m. So it was about halfway through. What have we got? 5:23. Just a little past halfway through our current mass meditation. Interesting. So now we've got synchronicity happening. Bear with me here, folks. Now that much of anomaly has been removed. So again, he only posted this halfway through this current meditation. So hopefully there's far more removed now. But anyway, it reads, now that much of anomaly has been removed, meaning not all, the light forces can finally pull the trigger and start a special operation. During the solar eclipse on March 29th, exactly at 11:21 UTC, which is about now, I think, Mountain Time. It's about 7 or 8 hours ahead. They will send a flash of light. Oh, yeah, which we mentioned during this mass meditation. They will send a flash of light through the planetary energy grid that will activate all planetary dragon ley lines and the goddess Atlantean equator ley line. So we've made that far more effective by preceding this massive clearing of the subquantum anomaly just before it hit, barely just in time. We almost finished it when it hit. And now that's profound. Anyway, many vortex points close to the goddess ley line, apart from those mentioned in the previous update, will be activated. Most important among them is the Wintersburg vortex, which is the nodal point of connection between the positive Templars and the Agartha network. So now it's going into details. So a fair bit of the... let me finish. The following legend is almost too good to be published. Okay. At the moment of the eclipse, a certain positive secret group that was dormant for many decades will be reactivated again. Cool. Network of take-on chambers and scintillating stones will also be upgraded to the next level. Yep, he mentioned that before. There will be many important astrological configurations starting immediately after the solar eclipse. Cool. All right, this will start a brand new cycle of spiritual awakening that will bring in the long-awaited golden age. Okay, so straightforward stuff there. I'm just looking for something that's directly relates on what we just did this past 3 hours now, or just under 3 hours. All right, this aspect will support a special operation. All right. Then on April 4th, Sedna will conjunct Alcyon in the Pleiades. This aspect will support a special operation of the Pleiadian and Syrian fleet in cooperation with both physical and non-physical positive Templars to awaken the Mary Magdalene Goddess mysteries, including teachings of the Holy Grail bloodline and teachings of the Sacred Union. Also on April 4th, both Uranus and Saturn will make a semi-sextile with Eris, both on the same day. This is a very rare and powerful combination that will allow very special operation of the resistance on the surface of the planet, about which nothing can be said. All right, so they're going to be full on the surface, it seems. And he gives a hint there, a link. Then on April 12th, Neptune will make a sextile with the Sedna, drastically empowering the spiritual awakening that will lead to positive consequences well into the next 26,000 years. Okay, nice. Then on April 25th, a certain operation of the life force will be completed and you'll release intel on that. Then on May 12th, a very powerful gathering of ascended beings will happen in the hidden Wesak Valley. Such a Gathering happens once every 100 years and will determine the future course of the evolution of humanity. So it's the gathering of ascended beings. And there's a couple of workshops, invitation to Kyoto. Okay. And we've got a comment there, one of 144K. Very good news, Cobra. Thank you. Let's keep pushing forward, Light family. The heavy work is nearly complete, and the event can finally commence. So this is great. So this is massive, massive progress. But he would have been writing this post just as we were barely beginning. So there's a very good chance that we may have delivered a bit of a knockout blow that really consolidated what he was writing about. So this is going to be interesting. You know, I can't say congratulations to all of you and all of us enough times. And I'm sure you all know exactly what I mean and feel the same way. You know, it's not the first time that it was a bit of a slow and difficult start, because that's where the maximum resistance is to us getting started. And that's fair enough. Sometimes it takes as much as an hour to really get rolling. And that's normal, because by then a lot of the resistance is dissolved. So keep that in perspective. That's important. So this is so profound, so huge, that we had this synchronicity of him reporting great news, or writing about the great news, or posting about it, I suppose, barely as we were getting started. He was writing about this barely as we were getting started. And he posted it halfway through our mass meditation. So very interesting synchronicity. I wasn't expecting a post from Cobra so soon, pretty much at around about the same time. Let me just double check the time that he posted this, because it actually takes, because I know I write articles all the time and emails all the time. Sometimes, especially when a lot of links and resources are included to corroborate everything that is written about, it takes anywhere between 2 to 3, even 4 hours to put a whole post together and actually post it. But certainly he would have needed at least an hour to put all this information into one post together. Actually, correction. It was in the afternoon, so the previous day, 4:36. So it was 4:36 p.m. of the previous day, not a.m. of today. So my bad. Okay, it was close to 12 hours that he had posted this, reporting great news about. So it's about 12 months. 12 months. Yeah, no, I guess 9 to 10 hours before we even got started. And he's already, again, he began with, there was a drastic clearing process of dark matter anomaly and subquantum anomaly taking place in the last few weeks. Clearing, I just want to repeat this to give that right perspective. Clearing of dark matter anomaly had a strong impact on the health of many people. Also, many dark matter micro black holes were being cleared. A few of them impacting human beings, in most cases causing monitoring sometimes severe discomfort. And then he gets into the politics. So he's already reporting on a large amount, a lot of progress in clearing of the dark matter, micro black holes, quantum, subquantum anomaly the last few weeks. About, I don't know, 8 or 9 hours before we even got started through this, what could be argued or considered a revolutionary way of really getting all the way home in clearing the subquantum anomaly in particular. And is already reporting on drastic levels of clearing, but obviously still more that needed to be done. A fair bit more that still needed to be done as of the time that he had posted this post, which was yesterday at 4:36 p.m. All right, and that's Pacific time. And then we moved into action the following AM hours, 8 to 10 hours later. So this is fascinating that he followed, reported such good progress 8 hours before we even got started with clearing all this stuff. So, another massive round of congratulations. So, in that context, in line of Cobra reporting a lot of clearing having been done the past few weeks, and then we got started. Let's, in that context, let's see, give your opinion on things in the Telegram chat. And anything well worth mentioning, do so. Because, again, this was really sustained, deep, thorough, specific, highly tactical clearing, multi-layer clearing of all the depths of mostly the subquantum anomaly. So thorough. And that's, again, that always has a far bigger impact, far bigger results, needless to say. So let us know what you think or what you experience as well, preferably in the Telegram chat. And let's see what great news is going to be coming, in as little as a week. No, because Cobra didn't mention about 2 or 3 posts ago that he's going to be posting a bit more prolifically throughout April. So let's see what happens. We certainly gave it a massive jump forward. No two ways about that. So let me know what you think, especially as it relates to that. How much we moved it forward and far quicker with such thorough diligence that the 144K is renowned for. And again, another huge salute to every single one of you. You be so proud. I really mean that. Be so proud. As Gaia, the collective, and the collective cosmos thanks you with all their heart. And you know exactly that really hit the spot. in terms of gratitude. So well done. What else can you say? Just a massive well done. Stay tuned. I don't like having to say goodbye right now to all of you. I wish I could just chat with every single one of you. Okay, and maybe we'll do that in some way because, we're really penetrating and delivering the final knockout blows. But in the meantime, do say hi in the 140, well, mostly 144K Telegram chat. That's the one that we monitor the most. And let's see. Okay. Well done. It's, what do we go to here? Pretty much 5:40 a.m. here in Arizona. And big hugs to every single one of you. I really wish I could give all of you a literal physical hug, because this was huge. We absolutely made the most of it. So you can walk off now with so much pride, love, and gratitude. And knowing that we made for a far more smoother, but positively eventful April. And no longer having to wait throughout the rest of summer for anything major to occur. All right, so good on you. Big hugs. Okay. Say hi to the Telegram. Give your opinion about things as it relates to our impact, our contribution, our ramifications. If you don't have anything specific worth mentioning as it relates to the meditation itself, and let's see. God knows we've done our part. This is your loving servant, the unknown light warrior, giving you the utmost respect and honor. On behalf of all that is, I should imagine. I hate to say goodbye, even if it is only for a couple of days. But do stay tuned, beloved one. Till next time.